Thank you.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Late Night Happy Hour with the Kamenetzky brothers. Brian Kamenetzky, Andy Kamenetzky, joined tonight by the only person in Los Angeles that I guarantee was angrier than you were about the way the Lakers played the fourth quarter. LaJethro Jenkins, you know him from the Dunk Bait podcast. Fantastic stuff. Always entertaining, and now he's staying up late with us after doing his own show, which we always appreciate.
But
I think it's because, I don't know, maybe somehow you knew this was going to happen. You'd have all this extra stress and anger. So just take us through the fourth quarter. The Lakers won. They're up 3-1. It all turned out okay. But if you've been following you on Twitter, LaJethro, everybody knows that these swings that they've had are driving you insane.
I can't stand it, bro. Like, this is the thing. When you're watching college teams, like I get that with 19-year-olds, 18-year-olds. You know what I mean? We're grown men, aren't we? You know what I'm saying? Like there's for you to take the foot off the gas when you know what happens. You've experienced this game for so long. You know you're playing a team that has like a high octane offense. What are you doing? Like Bron getting loose with the ball, and that's my favorite player of all time. But you got to call it what it is. He got loose with the ball. Two inbounding turnovers. I mean, like that's rec league. I'm not just thinking about today, right? I'm thinking about the Clippers. I'm thinking about further. Like you can't make these type of mistakes. Luckily they didn't capitalize off it. Luckily we had King Caruso to step up when necessary. But I just my nerves are bad already. We're in a pandemic. I don't need extra stress, guys. Just
if it makes you feel any better, from the experience Brian and I had covering the 09 and 10 championship teams with Kobe, Powell, LO, those guys, by definition, elite championship teams, they took their foot off the pedal all the damn time. Like I remember Phil actually against Houston in 2009, he actually tossed a game to prove a point because the Lakers were so all over the place again in that series against Houston. They were so unfocused. There was a game where even by Phil's standards of not calling timeout ever, you're watching these guys go down 25, then 30. You're like, dude, okay, I've defended you on this, but you're really not going to call timeout now?
Right.
He's just like, man, figure this out. I am not bailing your asses out. And if you lose,
it was the coach's equivalent. I'm turning this car. I'm just driving it home. We're not going on vacation.
Right.
You guys can't learn your lesson.
I think he knew, at the end of the day, we're not really going to lose this series against Houston. But it went 7. It actually went 7, which was ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, it's you played 3 perfect quarters. Lakers offense starts with a defense. You know what I'm saying? When they get turnovers and things like that, that's extremely important to them. So for them to just take the foot off the gas like that in playoff time, I can't deal, man. And we saw it. Was it game 2 when they went up 21, and then by the beginning of the fourth quarter they were down, and it's, bro. Don't do that to me. I actually took a 10-minute break from the game. When they got it within 2, I turned the game off for 10 minutes, came back when it was around 6 minutes left. I'm like, sometimes you got to put yourself first. You're going to stress me out like this.
Now, wait a minute. When you said that you took a 10-minute break, did you pause the game?
No, I turned the game off. I couldn't.
You just walked away.
I walked away. I mean, I think you're up 21. They go on a run. You get sloppy with the ball, and now they're within 2. Y'all do this to yourselves. You're not going to do this to me. I'll come back halfway through the fourth, and they were up 6, and so it was it was still a little stressful, but I'm not going to sit around here and watch that and my nerves.
Almost as if your presence is contributing to you are you're complicit in what's happening if you watch.
Right.
You're gonna get arrested as an accomplice. When everybody goes to jail.
I'm not supporting that. But I took a 10-minute break, walked away. I'm not here for that. I'm just not. You know what I mean?
My wife is a massive Cowboys fan, and she does not handle the tight moments well, like the way you're talking about.
Yeah.
And I remember early in our dating, like I was coming in from out of town. I was on some work trip, and I was coming in from being out of town, and she happened to be watching a game that I was watching on the plane, in the seat TV. And we were texting back and forth when I landed, and she's getting really mad about this game and getting mad at me. Like somehow this is my fault too. Like she's getting pissed about this.
Yeah.
And she turns it off. And in the meantime, Dallas makes this comeback and they start getting back into it. I'm like, baby, turn the TV back on. I'm like, you're winning. She's like, no, fuck this. No, we're not. I'm going to like blame you. I'm going to, no, you're actually winning. Turn the damn TV on. I'm like, if it wasn't for me, you wouldn't have even known about this win.
Right.
You would have had no idea this happened.
At certain points, it's just like I just want it to be over. Like, can this game this is the experience of like being a sports fan as an adult. When I was a kid, I believed I was part of the team, so we won, right? Like we don't win anymore as an adult. Like I'm just. When I'm rooting for a team, they win a championship. 2016, I was super excited. Like I ran outside in the middle of St. Louis. We did it, St. Louis. You know what I mean? Like, right. Every other chip in my adulthood, you know what I'm saying? Like it's been like I'm just happy I'm not sad. You know what I'm saying? Like that's how I feel. So I'm not, like I'm,
that is one of my favorite. It is one of my favorite constructions of being a sports fan. Is like because Andy and I have been doing this like going back a ways and like the early days of comments and this and that. Everybody gets together, it's game 2, you're up 2-0, can't get ahead of ourselves. Like it's like we can't do it, guy. It's just first round, we can't get ahead of ourselves. Like you can do whatever the fuck you want, man. Like if you want to take your chair and sit down and like sit on Figueroa right now, it's fine. If you want to call in sick now, it's okay. What you do is going to have no effect on anything that's coming. So, I mean, if it makes you feel better, do whatever you want. But you're right. It is that feeling. And that's one of the things that you kind of lose a little bit when you do it professionally, which sort of sucks. But I'm glad you're making through. Right. Because this Clippers series might kill you.
This is the thing. I don't get comfortable till we're up 30. I think Bron missed a shot when we were up 18. And I'm like, we needed that. I'm yelling from the couch. You know what I'm saying? We need you to hit that, Bron.
Like that's the moment. Like we're gonna look back on that when LeBron was up 18 and he missed that shot, and that's gonna be the moment that we lost this game.
Right. It's like so like back on that. That's how I feel. I don't get comfortable till we're up 30. I've watched too much basketball. I know it's a game of runs, especially when they're playing a team that shoots threes the way they do. That's true. all of a sudden, Eric Gordon caught fire. You know what I'm saying? What's the name? Westbrook hit a shot. You know what I mean? And then like we're turning the ball over on stupid things, and before you know it, they're within 6. We were just up 23, guys. Like that's how quick the game can turn.
I always try to remind people like that's the benefit of going up by 3,000 points is that when the other team makes a 20-0 run, you're still up by 9. So it's like those are the things that you got to remember. Like that's the benefit.
I prefer going the other way with it, man. Let's really put our foot on it. And we saw their body language. They didn't want to be out there. No, you know what I'm saying? Look, we looked at Harden, which is odd. I mean, as good as Harden is, one of the most prolific scorers you've ever seen in basketball, and he has moments where he's just not there. And today we're looking at him. He just had zero energy. You know what I mean? Like he wanted to be something. He wanted to be somewhere else. Let's take advantage of that. You know what I mean? Don't let Eric Gordon steal a game back. And let's stick on
Harden. Yeah, let's stick on Harden for this because we'll get back to the Lakers here in a second. But this is Harden is the numbers weren't good, and he got to the line 20 times and all that stuff. But like overall, the numbers were not good for Harden. They have not been particularly good in the series.
Yeah.
Like, what do you do? Like this team? Like, what do you do with James Harden? What do you do with this team? Like, what do you think? Because it's hard to tell. Like on the one hand, we have that thing where you are the star team. You're supposed to take over and elevate and this and that. But then again, you kind of look around at the rest of it and you're like, is that like he's doing what you expect? They come, every team doubles him. He gets rid of the ball. And Russ kind of sucks in the playoffs. Like, I feel like this is a Russ problem more than a Harden problem.
I don't know. I mean, Russ didn't play bad tonight.
He wasn't bad tonight, but I'm just saying overall, like you haven't had one of the games where
he's actually been hurt heading into this.
I understand that, but he hasn't been. But he hasn't like been good. Like, there's been no moments in this series, or few, where Russell Westbrook looks like a star who carries a team.
This is Harden's team, though. This is Harden's team, and that's the thing. Like, somebody's asked this on earlier. They were saying, like, yo, at what point? And I thought this was an interesting question. I never thought about this. At what point do the Rockets say, you know, do we make a move? I mean, as good as Harden is, you know, as if he's the guy on your team, is he going to win? Are you going to win chips with him? And I don't think he's proven that. Like, he's shown consistently in fourth quarters he just doesn't perform well, and in the playoffs he struggles. You know, in big games,
he seems to get run down too. Like every year,
but he's had energy. Now, you know, everybody had a 3-month break. You know what I'm saying, or a 2-month break or whatever, and he still is having these moments where he's just abysmal. You know, and I mean, and we saw that in the last series, Game 7, and where was he at? Where was his brain?
He disappears. This is actually a really good point from Nesfer. Russ always plays like he cares.
Yes.
I think that's the frustration with Harden. Say what you will about Russell Westbrook, you will never question his effort.
But do you think he doesn't care, or is Russ just really good at projecting? I'm not calling it fake. Like, it's just Russ just really good at projecting it.
No, Russ cares. Russ cares.
I know he does. But you can tell. Do you think Harden doesn't? That's my question.
No. I feel like Harden cares. I think it's fear. I think when those big moments hit, I just think there's something there where he just doesn't have that switch. Where Russ doesn't care. He's himself at all moments, the bigger ones, the small ones. He's a honey badger. You know what I mean? Yeah. He's going 1,000%. You know, he'll run through a brick wall. Harden doesn't have that dog in him. Even though he's so good, you know.
Oh, interesting point too about Westbrook that I think people are forgetting, because
including people like you,
927. He hasn't been good, but he has also been hurt, and he had COVID. As Titanium 927 points out, people forget Westbrook had COVID, and that sticks with you.
You know, it's interesting, LaJethro, when you're talking about the dog in the player and the way the guy plays, like Westbrook versus Harden, and not caring. Like, you know, Westbrook will just keep playing, looking to go through a brick wall, for better or for worse.
Yes.
Like, that's just the way he does it. Sometimes it derails his team. There will be times also where it works out really well.
Yeah.
But, like, the moment is always going to be big for all these guys. Like, think about Kobe in Game 7 against Boston. Like, there was no more been there, done that player in the entire league.
And he didn't shoot that well.
Kobe, by his own admission, kind of went off the rails. Like, the moment was so big. He wanted this thing so badly. The moment overwhelmed him, and he wigged out. But at the same time, though, he never stopped playing.
And that's the thing. Did we ever question whether Kobe wanted it? Did we ever see body language from Kobe? Well, I mean, there was times, there were certain playoff games, I think, was it against Phoenix, where he was just like, F it. I don't know, can we say the F word?
No, you can just say
He was like
Indy now.
Okay. He was like,
all your curse words.
Okay, he was like, fuck it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, he just didn't, he shot a few times throughout the game or whatever. But, like, we know Kobe, when it came to the big moment, he wanted it. I mean, we never questioned that. We're looking at Harden, and you look at Harden's face, you look at his energy, and it's not there. And that's so odd to me. I don't, because he's so good, and people talk about the fouls and all this stuff, but I don't think there's anybody better equipped offensively for this game than Harden. And in big moments, he's just, and they're giving him the foul calls too. They usually don't get him in the playoffs, but he's been getting them.
He got him.
He's been getting them. Yeah.
Here's what I think is weird, when I'm kind of getting at, like, and where I do think it's important, because I'm going to give James Harden the benefit of the doubt that he gives a shit, you know, like that he cares, and that he's one of those guys, and it's part of its style of play, like the way he moves around the court, and it's the slow, fast, slow, like all the changes. His demeanor is always very even, except, you know, the block shot with, you know, at the end of the first round was as much emotion as you really see from the guy ever. In the playoffs, when your team is down, or whatever, you need your guy to look like Russ. You need your guy to look like LeBron or whatever it is. Right.
Let's go, guys.
AD's starting to learn that. Like, you know, I got you. I have to project this thing that may not be my personality. And so in that sense, I think you're right, where the fact that you even have to have this conversation is a problem with Harden.
Okay, here's an example. I mean, Steph Curry, has this persona as like, the lovable, cuddly guy in the league. Mm-hmm. That dude is cocky as all hell once the playoffs.
Steph Curry is a monster. And I talk so much shit about Steph because I'm a Bron fan, but I'll tell you this, during that Warriors run, I didn't miss Warriors basketball. That's good basketball. You got to watch that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But Steph Curry is an assassin. And all that cuddly laughing stuff is because he's like, I'm going to kill you and I'm going to enjoy it. Yeah. You know what I mean? And he had some moments when he like like 2016 where he got dotted, you know what I'm saying? Couldn't get by Kevin Love, you know what I mean? But I mean, I never question if Steph doesn't want to be there. You know what I mean? And just Harden, it just seems that his energy just isn't there. You know what I mean?
You think but like you talk about that cockiness from Steph, and it's like, and he knows that there is an enormous amount of joy that comes out of, and Steph is a world-class athlete, blah, blah. By NBA standards, Steph Curry is undersized. He's not wildly athletic in certain ways and all this other stuff. And he's like, I'm going to come out here like this, still looking like somebody picked me up from junior high, like on the way to the game, and kick your ass. And enjoy it. Like, do you
see walking after game winners? You know what I mean? Like,
that glint from
that's
Harden,
an assassin.
right.
And that's the thing. Like you were saying, like in those moments, I'm looking at Harden sometimes. It's like he didn't want the ball. Like he'll hide off in a corner. I'm like, do you know who you are? If I'm James Harden with that skill set, get the fuck out of my way. I'm a one-man team, right? You know what I mean? Like, win or lose, whatever. I'm not gonna sit in a corner though, or like pass off and just like be scared of them, bro. Like I'll never understand it. But I saw them comment about D'Antoni. How do y'all feel about that? Like that type of ball?
I think it can win. I mean, D'Antoni, helped originate what the Warriors did to win these championships. Like I think it can win. I think there are inherent issues with Houston's roster. Like, I mean, I've been saying this since the moment they made the Capella trade, because I'm just like, and I love Robert Covington. He's a really great, useful player for a
two-way player. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Their roster has no flexibility whatsoever. Like, and part of the reason, I mean, D'Antoni, I think, and I like D'Antoni, and we covered him with the Lakers, and on a personal level,
like the guy.
Yeah. And I think there are some ways he took too much flack as the Lakers coach. Some ways I think he walked into stuff. But, he's been known for being at times inflexible. Sometimes I think it's true. Sometimes it's not. I mean, the second half of the season that he coached with Kobe, the first year with, the super team that wasn't. Yeah. If you watched them in the second half of that season and didn't know who was coaching the team and asked, you were asked who coached it, you would have never guessed D'Antoni.
Yeah.
But like, between some stubbornness from D'Antoni, some stubbornness from Harden, some stubbornness, I think, from Russ at times, but also just the roster construction, they can't play any other way.
Yeah. Right.
Like you look at Frank Vogel, like Vogel's adjustment today, going what I call medium ball, because they're not really small.
No, they were small. The Lakers didn't have to go small. They just went without JaVale McGee. They were still
and Howard's not playing either. I mean, that's two. That's
But they're still bigger than Houston.
Oh, he's
like, and there are things that they can do. Like, there are adjustments they can make. Houston, I pegged this Lakers in 5, and I may end up right, but a lot of it was just, I don't think they can do anything other than just play the absolute best version of themselves. Mm-hmm. And I think that gives you too little flexibility against a lot of good teams, particularly a team like the Lakers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But you're right. I mean, like, this was not a game, LaJethro, where the Lakers went classically small. I mean, look at the lineup. LeBron is LeBron. AD is AD. Markieff is
two aliens. Yeah.
Markieff is 6'9" or 6'10" or something like that. He's
6. I think. Around. No. He's
6'8", 6'9". He's tall. Danny Green is tall. He's long. He's got long arms. And KCP's got you come off the bench with Caruso's got reach. THT got reach. Like, I mean, these are
6'8". Kuzma would be the tallest guy in Houston's rotation.
That's crazy.
He's 6'8".
Crazy.
Yeah,
I mean, they were talking about PJ Tucker and wow, he's doing a great job against AD. And once AD decided he's gonna do what he want to do, like, bro, PJ can't do nothing with him. There's nobody on the planet that can. Like, and I mean, you have a 6'5" guy on AD. Yeah, you're trying to double and triple team. If anybody's hitting shots, this game over.
Oh, dude,
you know what I'm saying?
AD has been a monster in this series.
AD to me, like there's when it comes to LeBron, Kawhi, PG, they're giving him trouble in series, right? But there's AD's one of those players. He's like Giannis, like those two players. There's no answer to them. Only they stop themselves. Nobody slows them down. And when AD's clicking, it's absolutely impossible to stop him. And it's just crazy to see him do things he's doing, like off the dribble, pulling up. I'm like, this is a 6'5" guy. That'd be a nice move for a guard. And this guy's a 6'11", 7 foot, doing these things and can also finish at the cup. I mean, it's you can do so much with him. You know what I mean? Like, and then Bron treats him like Megatron. You know what I'm saying? Bron gets the ball and he throws it. Every time he's streaking, he's throwing the deep ball. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? I mean, and if even if it's double D, you know, he's going up and getting it, finishing it. It's beautiful to watch.
Andy and I have been doing this. Like, you know, Monday night we had Ben Lyons on and we stopped and every few minutes basically we stop and we play the block shot on Harden. And it was one of those things. And my reaction went from, because it was right after the other block. It was like, there's LeBron. And they come back, and it's sort of like what you were talking about before, where you're like, come on, guys, let's not screw up easy things. And Harden splits a bad double. And I'm like, well, that was crappy. And he's going to go lay the ball in. And LeBron just rises out of nowhere. And I'm like, how is
35? He's 35, year 17, bro.
But it's all the little stuff. It's the little passes. It's the pass he made to Caruso in the corner. Perfectly timed. As soon as Harden steps 2 inches further than he can recover, the pass is on target. Give Caruso. I mean, all that stuff.
He's a Swiss Army knife. Whatever they needed from him in game 3, he gave it to them. Yeah. They needed points. They rode him in the first half. Second quarter, third quarter, 4 blocks, punching shots all over the place. You know, tough defense, flying around like he's 6'3", you know what I'm saying? Like running him off the 3-point line. And when you see a LeBron James at 35, one of the best players to ever play the game, my GOAT, running around like that, how are you not going to play tough defense? Well, when you see, you know what I'm saying, him doing that that's so much after a 29-point half. I mean, like,
and always making guys better. Like we throw that cliche around, but this is what it looks like.
We were talking about this last night. God, who was on with us last night? Kelvin Washington from Spectrum One, and we were talking about, you know, the umpteenth MJ versus LeBron GOAT thing, and like I'm bored by it. I don't. If you want to say it's MJ, it's MJ. I don't care. Okay. But one thing though that it sort of dawned on me as we were talking through this is, like, MJ may be, you know, the greatest of all time, and again, I'm not going to argue with you. There's perfectly reasonable, but LeBron is the most groundbreaking, unique, like,
versatile.
I've never seen anything like what he does before. And then when you start taking into account the mileage, like nobody, I don't think in the history of the game, I really don't. I don't think anybody has done what he's done with this type of mileage. Like, if you look at like Basketball Reference,
it hasn't happened.
Take a look at the all-time minutes leaders. What he's done is literally, I think this is actually the way I described it. He's the most groundbreaking player, certainly of the modern era, maybe since like Kareem, like just in terms of just breaking, or Magic, one or the other, just breaking ground.
This is a good question. That's for us. Does AD guard Paul George? Have you seen AD will be guarding like Harden, Westbrook? Like, is that not crazy to you?
The answer
6'10", guarding a Westbrook at 25 feet from the bucket?
Well, the answer to will AD be guarding blank is yes. I mean, it is. He's going to be guarding
It's. I mean, I think he's going to cook next series. You know, I've seen him against the Clippers. They don't have the size either, and he's going to. I'm interested to see how they approach that. But yeah, I mean, AD is just insane. But yeah, when you come with Bron, as far as like what he's done, I just haven't seen a player be good this long with so much, like you said, mileage, and in so many ways.
Yeah,
so many ways on the court. And also his IQ. You see the things he does, like mentally, maybe the best I've seen in my, since watching the basketball.
The more time,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, when you look at this series, because we got to get first, we got to get somebody to turn their car alarm off.
Right. Is that me?
I don't know. I mean, is it your?
Oh yeah, that's all right. That's mine. Yeah.
Is that your car?
Here. No, not at all. No, not at all. They stopped. Sorry.
Okay, it's fine.
No, I mean, it's literally your car.
Can't get out of here.
Go take care of it.
My car is right next to me. It'd be much louder for my car.
Okay,
it's like right outside this window.
Just want to make sure you have a car tomorrow.
We have good. Yeah, that's important.
The show's not that big a deal. I was just like, I'm at that point where I'm trying, because the Lakers, these two Western Conference series went from kind of interesting and intriguing to completely boring. In like a heartbeat. Like for the Lakers, they had that little. I think it was the Rockets had an opportunity in Game 3 to make something of it. They were winning in the fourth quarter. They didn't do it. Obviously, the Nuggets blew that opportunity. I guess again in Game 3, right, where they were up and just collapsed down the stretch, and that's the end of it. Like those series are done. Have you guys seen anything? I don't know what your opinion on Lakers Clippers was coming into the playoffs with the LaJethro. Have you seen anything that would change what it was? I mean, yeah, A.B. Bradley not being there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the thing that's not. He was a bit. I mean, what he had 30 points in the win.
Yeah,
I mean that 15 to 17 footer off the dribble is cash for him, and he plays tough D. And that's the thing we struggle with is guard defense. We've been doing great, you know what I'm saying? Against two teams that have great guards. This is that first two playoff series, but Paul George. We'll see what happens with Paul George. He's kind of iffy in the playoffs, but Kawhi, they got some, they got some dogs on there in the guard position. So.
Yeah, and they're starting to.
That's what changes it to me. You said what?
And Kawhi is locking it.
Yeah, okay. PG's look better too. Yeah, he was that first series. Obviously, he was, but I mean, he's had some 30-point games. He's looking solid when they're clicking.
The thing with Paul George is, in a lot of ways, he said the quiet part out loud, because I guarantee he is not the only guy who was struggling with the bubble setup. I mean, LeBron has come out and said in so many words, I can't wait to get the hell out of here. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, he does not like the bubble. He has not. He actually said, I think it was like a week or so ago, yeah, I've debated leaving. Just the way I'm sure all of you guys talking to the media have debated leaving. Like, it's not fun. Mm-mm. And what I think is psychologically fascinating about this, but also just I have a lot of empathy for these guys because I think it's hard. If you're a team like the Lakers, from LeBron's perspective, or a team like the Clippers, Paul George's perspective, when you know that you are good enough to get to the finals, like you are good enough to go as long as you can, with every single win, it adds to that dread of, I can't get the hell out of here. Like every time you win, I have to stay longer. Like in some ways, you're being punished for being winning. Like, we've covered long playoffs here, like long playoff runs before, and it's grueling. Like this stuff is really intense. Mm-hmm. But at least these guys always have the creature comforts of being able to go home. If you close out a series early, you get to spend that extra time with your family, with your kids, girlfriend, whatever. You get some time away. When you win in the bubble, it's like fucking Groundhog Day. Like
you don't get to leave.
I mean, you win a game, you go home to a hotel room by yourself.
The same hotel.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, you've been in since July.
Here's a Danuel House. I will just say this about that situation. I get it. It's not the best decision, but it's not a bad decision. Mm-hmm. I get it. Like, it's just like, bro, like, I mean, we're humans. I don't. It's not smart,
All right.
but you.
Now, so what's your theory? Yeah. Okay. What's your theory?
What as far as what happened?
Uh-huh.
I talked to Josiah, and Josiah said he thinks he's taking a fall.
For
Josiah
who?
said he thinks he's for the fall guy. I don't know, but if he's taking a fall for somebody, it's got to. It's not. You know, it's probably a Harden. You know,
right? Because
or
that's
something like who are you
what's-
going to take a fall for as a Rockets six man? You know, I mean, you're not taking it for Austin Rivers. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
I don't
that's
think
actually that's
Austin Rivers enough to do that.
well, that's okay. That's an interesting, like when you mentioned that, LaJethro, like if Danuel House is taking the fall, presumably for either Harden or Westbrook, because they're the only guys.
Only
I think that
makes
type
sense.
yeah, even I mean,
maybe PJ Tucker, because if you can't guard AD,
you can't do it without PJ.
You can't just,
Covington was terrible tonight.
you can't do it without Eric Gordon. So I guess
those four guys, yeah.
Theory, and again, we cannot
emphasize
this.
This is all reckless speculation.
Definitely Harden, not Westbrook. Yes, not Westbrook. Westbrook's married. Westbrook seems like he don't mess with nothing. Westbrook is so in house with it. You know what I mean? Like he ain't got time for none of that.
You know what? It ain't Ben McLemore. I think we all agree on that.
Definitely not that.
But I was thinking about this though.
St. Louis later.
Yes, like the three of us, by the way.
Yeah. That's crazy.
We got a St. Louis story we got to talk about before the end of this.
Okay, let's go.
But anyway, if it say is somebody taking the fall, and they ultimately decided, like as a team, that he took the fall
for D'Antoni.
Hell no.
That's D'Antoni out here getting that work in. You know,
nobody has taken the fall for the coach that's rumored to be out anyway. Like that's definitely not happening.
D'Antoni popped the blue pill and was ready to get it popping. Let's go.
And you cannot emphasize enough the reckless speculation.
Right.
But if, say, this is Danuel House that was deemed like, okay, you're the guy that is deemed good enough that this would be a sacrifice people would care about. If you're Macklemore or Austin Rivers, isn't there a little part of you kind of pissed off? Like you feel like you're getting shined? Like that Danuel
Austin
House
Rivers is angry that they didn't ask him to take the ball?
He's not that much better than me. Like Macklemore's like, have you looked at our stats? They were basically the same coming into the bubble. That Danuel House isn't that much better than me. Like we're not even going to discuss that it could be me.
All right. Here this. I think this says more about me. Maybe I don't know, but like. I want this story to be like really sweet. Like I want it like, they've been here now for how many weeks? Mm-hmm. And every day this sort of mysterious woman, like dressed, head to foot. And I'm sure like PPE'd out, whatever, like you don't really know what she looks like this, that, but they lock eyes every day. And he just, like this moment, like every day, Danuel House is like trying to figure out like how I can get a little bit more to know this girl who I can't let in my room, who I'm not allowed to get anywhere near. And every day, all she does is come stick a swab up my nose,
right,
and then leave. And but like somehow those two people, under these circumstances, they find love.
Yeah, this is
like wouldn't that be a story to help counter 2020?
Yeah, that'd be a nice romantic comedy,
right.
It's a nice rom-com,
and it's called Bubble Love. It's called Bubble Love.
Bubble Love. Oh man, that's an interesting title. But
think about telling that story at your wedding and how sweet that would be. How'd you guys meet?
I was
she stuck a swab up my nose.
Yeah. I was suspended. We lost the series, but I gained, the love of my life.
That's the slug line. Lost the series, gained the love.
Right. I'd watch it. I'd drink something and go to the movie.
It's a Hallmark original, says Memory Flash.
It is also worth noting that if, say, there is no there is no conspiracy, there's no fall guy, there's no whatever. Like it really is this female. Because there's also the reckless speculation that she's, that the woman in question is not even a COVID tester. Like she's an Insta model that was like disguising herself as a COVID. Wow. I've seen it. I've seen it like deep internet.
Right. Like, you saw the Reddit.
Yeah. I have not seen the Reddit comments. I've seen people discuss the Reddit comments. But let's just take this at face value that, it's a legit COVID tester, female. and she was in his room, which obviously you're not allowed to do.
Hey, the test is up here, guys. Okay.
Danuel House is obviously responsible for his own decisions and his own professionalism. But that being said, worst COVID tester ever.
or best.
Like, you've got one job, lady.
Unprofessional.
COVID from spreading. That's your one job.
But like we spent a lot of time.
She's in the bubble. She's in the bubble as well, right? Like
she got in there. It's not. You can't get in.
I think they go. I'm not sure. I'm actually not sure if the COVID testers ever leave. I really don't actually know the answer.
Yeah. Not in my script. They don't.
But I'm just
like, they're going to each other's rooms, daydreaming about each other. Only like
it's the 3 minutes of every day that he looks forward to more than anything.
Right.
Like, this is what's getting him through this.
This is the sweetest story because it's not. It's like born out of platonic stuff. You can't see what this girl looks like. She's here to here and PP. She's got a mask on and all these other things. He's falling in love with the person.
It's you know what it is? It's the COVID version of Her. You know, that movie with Joaquin Phoenix where he basically falls in love with his Siri voice over his phone.
Yes.
Like,
that was a very weird movie, but it was also good.
It is next level sabotage because we talked about this earlier in the thing, like when like Rashawn Holmes was like out of the bubble, like the snitch line and all the different ways people were going to trick people to having to go back into quarantine, like tricking out the super hot COVID tester to end up taking out a rival player. That is people say LeBron set it up. That is a sort of three-dimensional chess move that probably only LeBron could figure out.
Only LeBron could figure that out for sure. But yeah, I would hope. I would hope that. I mean, no, whatever you got to do with a chip, do it. I'm not going to try to be righteous here. You know what I mean? Like I just want the chip at the end of the day.
This is a great
good for him. You know what I mean?
This is a great theory from Gambit_1. This is Dwight's payback because he got benched. Like, Dwight setting up. It is his old team.
And you see him on the bench. He looks like he can't wait to get up out of there, man. You know what I mean? Like he's ready for this series to be over with so he can get back on the court. Yeah, so maybe.
Well, he will play against the Clippers. I mean,
we need it. Oh, yeah, no doubt.
He's going to be a part of this against the Clippers.
Yeah.
Like, I can't wait for the truth. Like the real, because eventually the real details of what this is all about. And is this, romance? Is this sex? Is it really just she stepped inside his room and you're really not allowed to do that? And Danuel House is going like, really? Like,
it's probably not as juicy as we think it is. It probably
he goes to the bathroom. He comes back out. She's 4 feet inside his room. He's like,
right.
No,
you know what I mean? And then Braun walks by like, yeah, you know what I mean? So that makes me laugh.
Oh man,
Jimmy Butler's there to somehow see get a picture of it or whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, there is, though, a certain responsibility that, again, assuming this is an actual COVID tester and not an Insta model in like a uniform, like there is a certain amount of professionalism that's expected from her too. I mean, they're all in this together.
Yeah, but she's not on a basketball team. Like, so we're not going to talk about her. You know what I mean? Like, it's on Daniel. It's on Daniel. I'm not going to put that on.
I'm trying to think too. Like, if it is like a setup, like. When you go to you're at the bachelor party and like the stripper is there and she comes in and she's like dressed like the policewoman and like which one of you has been like is under arrest? Like what is the routine if you're the the COVID tester who's doing the strip club thing? Like what is the talk? Like how do you, because there's nobody else there either. You can't like go around the room like
COVID test.
I don't know. I would be terribly uncomfortable. All of it would make me very uncomfortable. Just asking.
We'll see. We'll see what happens when they get it out. What do y'all think of MPJ's comments?
I
really want y'all. You think it was dumb?
Bad messenger for a reasonable message. You got to spread the ball around. We got everybody's got to play well. This and that, whatever. I saw the number. it was, I think he's had 44 shots and 2 assists or something in this series. Like, okay, again, maybe he is a black hole. Like the ball comes, and I think he's going to be a great player. I mean, I love the Nuggets. Andy knows.
Yeah.
But it's like, but also read the room.
You know what it is? Remember the Will Smith Parents Don't Understand? You're only 18. You don't have a rep yet.
Yeah.
You're not ready. You're not ready to be offering public critiques yet. I mean, frankly, Michael Porter Jr. might not be ready to be offering private critiques with Mike Malone.
I wonder if it would have even been heard in the locker room. You know what I mean? Like, but I get why he said it. What he said didn't make sense. You just can't say it publicly. You know what I'm saying? But
no.
I do like the sentiment. I do like that MPJ wants the ball in these moments. And he's good. He's a young guy. A lot of dudes would be like, would just be happy to get out the series and not look like be blamed for, you know what I mean? Or making mistakes. He wants the ball in those moments. I think that's good.
Here's a comparison. Rookie Kobe. Like rookie Kobe let his feelings be known about a lot of this stuff. And obviously, Kobe went on to become one of the all-time greats. And you know what? He wasn't ready for everything that he thought he was ready for, but he may have been readier than some of his teammates thought. But when you were 17 as a rookie, at the time, it was unheard of for a guard to be making this jump. Sometimes you just can't say this stuff or let these feelings be known. Sometimes you just can't, even if you're right.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's a rook. He doesn't, you said he doesn't have the rep yet. He doesn't have the experience yet to be saying those things. These are things that a leader says, but he probably doesn't even say that out loud. Like, I didn't get the ball enough.
He's also too, Michael Porter Jr. Like, now that I think about it in terms of, because this is really the first year all of us have gotten to know him at all. Because last year
college he didn't play for real. Last year he was hurt. Yeah.
He's also had a bit of a recent history with saying a little too much. Like in terms of, all that.
Yeah, that might be a thing, and that might be youth.
Yeah,
that might be youth.
When the first time we've ever heard Michael Porter Jr. speak, it's like, dude,
stop talking.
Whoa. That's not the thing to say. That's the thing to say. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
It doesn't help.
Yeah,
it doesn't help his case. And I mean, then Denver looks a little bit like Houston in the sense that they look a little bit cooked as well.
They sort of look like the team that knows they're like, it's one thing. You can make it like you're not going to win 3 games in a row. I know bubble, whatever, no home court advantage, neutral. Neither one of those teams are good enough to beat either LA team 3 times in a row. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah. So I don't know. As far as when it comes to Denver, I think they're. You said they look cool. They look ready to get out of there. But MPJ, what he's saying, I think he, like I said, I like the sentiment.
What do you do, LaJethro? Like, it's the same question we were talking about earlier with the Rockets. Like, what do you do? Because Westbrook is not. I love Russ, but he's not going to get better. Harden is probably not going to get better than he is now. Russ is not going to get better than he is now, and you're clearly not good enough to win anything. But you've already torn it up to bring Russ there to begin with. Denver's got options. Like, Denver has tradable chips. They don't have a horrible cap situation. They've got some draft cap. Like, they've got stuff, but they're not quite there yet. So what would you give up off that team?
I don't know what Denver could give up. I know you're not going to give up Joker. Murray is a dog. You know what I'm saying? Like, I guess,
6 weeks ago you might have traded Murray, but you probably wouldn't now.
No, he probably put up 250 balls in the last series. Like,
that was amazing.
And in the big moments we've seen Murray. Like, Murray's not scared. Murray is ready. You know what I mean?
That dude is going to be great.
Oh yeah, he's a dog, and he just has to get there. But he's great. But like, MPJ is a chip that can be moved. And and there's people that want him.
And he might have a push right now. There might actually be a push out the door. Like, he might actually have some enthusiasm for relocation internally. He seems like he's somebody who could be interesting to coach. Mm-hmm. And he's obviously got a lot of talent.
Much talent. He's so good.
But he seems
defensively though, it's like
he's awful. He's
awful. I mean,
He's
I'm not saying like there's little things like position. You know what I mean? Like, that's with defense is mental, right? Being in the right position, keeping your head on a swivel, all these things, and it's like he doesn't care. He's not that good.
No,
he's not that
good.
Like
Kyle Kuzma went through a stretch where like it's not. You could tell he was trying. It's like he wasn't trying. He like literally did not like know what to do. Like he was not capable. Sometimes when you work extra hard, you almost get yourself into too much trouble because you're here, then you go there, and you're like. You'd be better playing off defense where if you just stay in the same place long enough, eventually the play gets to you. But he's terrible.
He looks much better. Kyle does, and Carl Kuzma, the scrappy version of Kyle. That's what we've been getting in the playoffs, and I'm not mad at it. You know what I mean? Like I like what he's given us. He's always good energy on the court. His body language is never trash. He's always giving us good effort. He's got a lot of scrappy rebounds and putbacks, cutting to the basket really well. A lot of good things off ball. I'm not mad at it. He's not hitting. He's not the third scorer we want him to be. Mm-hmm. But we've had some guys that have stepped up. Like Rondo looked like the purest shooter in the league last game. You know what I'm saying? KCP has played good in the playoffs. So Caruso's had some great moments. So
this is the thing that. If I'm a Laker fan, I know, LaJethro, you're freaking out, down the stretch of this game today, and you had to take your 10-minute break and all that stuff.
That was game 3. Game 2, I'll actually watch. Game 4, I actually watched the whole game.
Oh, okay. I thought you were actually referring to this one tonight. When it
was game 2. Game 2 when they went 21 and came back. Yeah, that's when I took a 10-minute break.
But tonight, from a Houston perspective, the thing
that you put yourself in timeout.
Oh yeah, I put the Lakers in timeout. They didn't have me for 10 minutes. I just had to
the thing that really, if you're Houston, I think just emphasizes you're done, and they have to know we're done, is the way the Lakers dominated this game tonight, where LeBron really did not have to do a whole lot of heavy lifting. He had a really good game, but he was not killing himself to have this game by any stretch. And if you can actually build up that type of lead without LeBron having to kill himself, that's where man, we're done.
I would say LeBron wasn't even being LeBron. You know what I'm saying? Not only was he not killing himself, he wasn't even playing a LeBron game the first half. When they were up 20. He was on cruise control, and we need that during these series because next series he's gonna have to be optimal. He's gonna be at an optimal shape. You know what I'm saying?
Don't you think he's reading it? Don't you think he's reading it though? The first half, the defense was so good. You're because in the Portland series and earlier in this series, there were moments in when the Lakers were getting off to bad starts where he just would carry them through their bad moments offensively. Particularly tonight, they were so good. Defensively early, it was like Houston was never going to score, and he's I don't have to go put up 35 or 40 because all I have to do is we're playing great D, and I'll work on this half of the court, and that's good. But that's intentional, don't you think?
Oh yeah, I think so. We know Bron picks his spots when he's going to put forth certain amount of effort. You know what I mean? He'll put up a 30-40 ball when he needs to, but a lot of times, and during the season when he averaged 23. I think that's by design. He's trying to he's trying to save himself for the bigger moments. But we've seen him do that in big moments in the playoffs where they needed him and he was turn it on. You know what I'm saying? But I can see that. Up 20, you don't need me to go hard.
He's saving himself I think Danuel House and that COVID tester are saving themselves for marriage. I am the only person who is rooting for these guys. I'm genuinely rooting for these guys.
I honestly, you saying that, I really hope that's true now. I genuinely do. I hope
it's a much better story.
Oh yeah, it's more fun. It's more fun. I would, like I said, I would watch that. You need to sell that. You should.
Oh God! By the way, I've talked about this with actually a friend of mine he's a showrunner. Yeah. You know how many showrunners like him in Hollywood are going to be reading bad COVID concepts, like just terrible COVID meet cutes, like this one that we're describing. I mean, like the only thing that helps this pitch is that it may have actually happened.
It's founded in some truth,
right?
But truth, not true.
But like, do you know how many?
She was a COVID tester. He was somebody who needed to get tested for COVID.
I can hear it. I hear it.
You know how many like bad, some guy and his ex-girlfriend are forced to quarantine together and they end up rekindling. I mean, like there are going to be so many awful pitches.
So much. I've seen more engagements right now than ever. Like I'm seeing so many people getting engaged. I thought it'd be the opposite. You know what I mean? But like people are like, I guess, I don't know, man. Like
it's probably a good mix of both, I would think. There have been some relationships that definitely ended over this. There's no question.
I heard I wasn't in China when they were first in lockdown, like their divorce rate skyrocketed right after they got out. You know what I mean?
I mean, look, if you are in a relationship, good, bad, whatever, like some type of cohabiting relationship during this period, you are spending a lot of time around each other.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if you're in a marriage, for example, you're not with your better half every second of the day.
And then you're finding out new things about them too. Like one of my coworkers, she was saying like, she heard her husband say, "will do." And she was like, I didn't know you were a will do guy. You know what I mean? Like, I don't like those type of guys. You know what I mean? Like at my job, and you're will doing people.
Will do.
Right.
Well, that okay,
I'll circle back. You're a circle back guy. Like, what? I can imagine being at home and hearing your significant other, I'll circle back. You're like, who the hell is this? I've never met this person before. You know what I mean?
But it's
if I ever want to make my wife just go up a wall, I can use the expression, you got to button that up. Hates it. Nails on a chalkboard.
But what one was saying, like will be a lot of babies 5 to 6 months from now. Only if you don't have kids,
right? Or
no,
if you have kids, everybody I know a kid. They're still
there's a lot of social distancing going on.
It's very similar in some ways to what poor Danuel House Jr. is dealing with down in the bubble, like the things that he's dealing with. But like what you're talking about though, LaJethro, with like the button it up, or Brian's button it up, circle back. It speaks to just how much you often spend tuning out the person that you're with, that all of a sudden you could discover after like 10 years, wait a minute, you're a circle back?
Right.
And have you been saying this?
Years, what the hell? Like
this has been going on.
Because a circle back person is a particular type of person. You know what I mean? Like there's certain things that come with saying circle back that everybody that says it has. You know what I mean? And so like to find that out can be devastating to a degree. Like, okay, you know what I mean? Like, I would hate working with you. You're that person at the gig.
It's like learning that you're married to a serial killer.
Right.
I had no idea. I had no idea you didn't like the Jews. It's like,
right. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, yo, this is odd behavior. I'm not.
Oh my God.
You know what I mean?
It's so funny.
Have you been exhibiting this the whole time? It's like, yes. I say this every day.
Yeah, this is me. Like, so like it's funny, but at the same time, it'd be worrisome if I was on the other end of that. I would literally no good. So.
All right. We learned something today because we only got a few minutes left. We learned something that was fascinating. All of us are from the same city. We all grew up in St. Louis. And so, we got a couple things, and there was a fascinating story out of St. Louis that have you heard the big story out of the Lou?
What was it? Talk to me. What happened?
A 62-year-old ball python at the St. Louis Zoo laid 7 eggs despite not being near a male python for at least 2 decades. It actually kind of strings into what we've been talking about. 2 decades away from
sexual? Or python like worms where they could like give birth?
Yes, it is not. It's unusual but not rare for ball pythons to reproduce asexually. The snakes sometimes store sperm for delayed fertilization.
20 years? Or 10 years?
20 years away from it. 62-year-old snake.
I didn't know.
They usually stop laying eggs long before they reach their 60s.
That's a whole life. I wonder if it accidentally had the baby. So like, oops. You know what I mean? Like I accidentally impregnated.
And now what if he's like really living out there? Like now you got 7 kids. Who wants a 62-year-old snake with 7 kids?
I'd be tired as hell, man. Oh yeah, right. Who wants to the dating life's gonna be horrible now. Okay, 7 kids, 7 infants. 2-year-olds with 7 infants.
I just went to ageconverter.com where you can convert pet age into human years. Because I was trying to find something specifically with a snake.
Yeah.
This one only goes up to 50 years old. But according to ageconverter.com, a 50-year-old boa or python, so works for this, is the equivalent of a 312-year-old human. Jesus. So this python probably is the equivalent of like 340 years old having its eggs.
Yoda.
I'm literally speechless. I don't know if I've ever been speechless before. I don't know what to say to this. 340 years old having 7 infants. I'm gonna add the python into my prayers this evening. That's rough.
It's never easy being a single mom, but damn,
7 of them at that age,
like
that's biblical.
Particularly in 2020.
That's a biblical age, like that's crazy.
She arrived at the zoo in 1961.
Like the Hawks were still in St. Louis,
right?
St. Louis Hawks were playing in St. Louis when this boa found its home.
The world was a totally different place. Like that's crazy. Like,
and now it's unfortunately not nearly as different as it should be from 1960.
She laid a clutch of eggs in 2009 that didn't survive.
That's a
this.
downer.
So this is a bit redemptive.
Go ahead.
Clutch of eggs.
Clutch of eggs. That's interesting.
Eggs, yeah. I didn't know that. I'm literally just reading from the article. The python doesn't even have a name. This is actually, I think, the worst part of this story. This thing's been in the zoo since 1961, and nobody bothered to name the thing.
It's just called the python. Just called the python. That's just
that is awful.
I think that's disrespectful. You know what I mean? Like you don't even name a python. What Methuselah? Is that what goes? Okay. Barbara. That's you said,
how about after Rose? I was just going to go there.
Yes, Blanche Rose. Dorothy.
Blanche. Yeah. I mess with the Golden Girls.
Oh yeah,
I'm hip. That's a great show. We keep it up.
Oh, when you think about the stuff they were getting into in the 80s on network TV with four treated. Yeah, women, treated as older women.
Yeah.
This show was
Blanche being spicy as she was, you know what I mean?
Yeah. They had an HIV episode.
What?
HIV episode. Yes.
That's crazy.
Rose, correct? She's concerned that she gets a blood transfusion.
Something like that, yeah.
Oh, I mean, they
people having sex on that show.
There's a couple shows like that where I look back and I'm like, A Different World, Wonder Years. Wonder Years is interesting because when I was younger, I was like, Kevin Arnold was like, that's why I tapped in with it. And the dad was a dickhead, right? But like now I understand the dad a little more coming back from work. I still feel like he should handle things a little differently. But I understand things are just, it's kind of hard, you know what I mean? Managing all the things he was.
That Wonder Years pilot, which, when spoiler alert, it's been
30 years, some 40 years.
But when Winnie Cooper's brother
There goes
gets
my net.
killed,
Oh my God.
I mean, I've still every now and then I'll go to YouTube and look at that. I'm like, my God, they handled that well. Like it is, and it's right before Kevin thinks he's about to get the belt because he gets in trouble at school and he thinks he's going to get the belt. And his dad's made it pretty clear you're getting the belt.
It's time.
And Mom and his sister come outside and say that Winnie's brother died. And you see his dad like put his his hand on Kevin's shoulder. It's gut wrenching, man.
I'm gonna say this. To me, top 2 favorite shows of all time, and it probably isn't 2. Wonder Years is that good. It's a special show.
It really is.
Yeah.
There's really nothing like it.
No. I mean, we just it's an anomaly, man. Like, and the writing was so good for so long. They never jumped the shark. It was always solid. There's very few shows that good that long.
David Schwimmer is the hippie sister's boyfriend. Unknown David Schwimmer played her boyfriend for a little while. I forget her, Karen. Okay. Blonde Karen.
Yeah.
I mean, Danica McKellar is I want to say, I'm pretty sure we're the same age. So it's like that tracked, I'm seeing her on TV basically like at the same age I am. So like she was one of the more impactful like girl characters that I ever saw on television.
Winnie Cooper and Kevin, that back and forth used to break my heart, man. It was so brutal sometimes, man.
It was good stuff.
It's one of them shows that kind of made me understand what love felt like before I actually knew what love felt like.
Yeah.
I mean, you could, the writing was so good. You can kind of see like how it would feel to be hurt by love before I even understood it at all, So
no, it is a great show. I mean, it really was
special.
So last question for you. What is your go-to I don't think any of us get back home a ton, but when you go to food, because that's basically all we have.
Man.
That's the other thing my wife hates is when I talk about all the food that we invented in St. Louis.
Where I say Soul Taco. I don't know if y'all been hip to it. It's like it's a Korean barbecue spot. Soul Taco's great. Sugar Fire is awesome, and then De Palm Tree, which is a great Jamaican spot off of Island. Yeah, these are spots I hit up all the.
I go back so little. I have no idea of any of these places. If you told me where they are, I would know where you're talking about. But otherwise, not a clue, man.
There was a place, Country Girl Pie House, that was off of Union in the hood, but it was fire though.
I'm sure it was.
I was pulling up.
St. Louis actually has good food.
And I would say this: the Chinese food, top tier.
It's pretty
My
good.
favorite Chinese food in the United States. You know what I'm saying? So
it is pretty good.
Yeah, that's solid.
It's weird, but it's true.
The St. Paul, only city you can find it in. St. Paul sandwich. Crazy.
That I've never had. I know that. I only learned about those things like 3 years ago. Never had one. Are they good?
What is
Appington's? It's like an egg. It's like an egg sandwich.
It's an egg fouillon.
Yeah, egg fouillon sandwich and the onions on it. You got it next time you go. St. Paul, shrimp St. Paul.
Okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's one of those things that apparently is a St. Louis staple forever, and I never knew about it. White bread, egg fouillon, pickle slices, white onion, mayo, lettuce, tomato. That's very
simple. Run it. Yes.
I would do that. I would absolutely do that.
I would eat the hell out of that.
Did y'all ever get in a tripe?
No.
Tripe?
I never tried it either. Tried it either.
Oh, tripe.
Tripe sandwich.
No.
My homie ate one time, and he pulled the meat, and his hand was about a foot and a half away from his mouth, and meat still was still connected. I'm like, that's not for me.
Nope.
That's
not
doing that.
That's terrible.
Lakers close it out on Saturday.
Let us pray. I don't want any more stress. You know what I mean? Let's get right into these Clippers series and let's see what happens. You know what I mean? Let's waste more time.
I think it's going to happen. I'm feeling good about my original Lakers in 5. I feel pretty good about it. So
yeah. Me too. I think it will too.
All right, dude, this was awesome. I know you've been putting time today, and you got your own show coming on this one. Dunkbait podcast. Anything else? Are we missing anything? Like what else?
Dunkbait on Twitter, Jenkins and
Yep.
Jones. Check that out. That's it, man.
All right, man. We really appreciate the time. Want to do this again down the road. This was fun as always, man. Thank you.
Talking to y'all for sure.
Right.
This is great, man.
Tomorrow night, we'll do NFL. Get ready for the opening weekend of the NFL season with Jordan Rodriguez from The Athletic. She is awesome and will teach you many things about football. That'll be a lot of fun. Dave Schilling on Monday, and we got a great slate of guests lined up already for next week. So we're really excited for that. Thanks again to LaJethro. Late Night Happy Hour. I'll be back tomorrow night. Thanks, everybody.
Take care. Go Lakers.